Yes, sir, baby. We are back. Let's go.
What is good? What is good? Thank you all for tapping into the recap show. So glad you could be here. But we got the cool ambiance in the background, Adam. I love it. But we got to raise a glass, pour one out.
Yeah, man.
Breece Hall.
We got a lot of dead homies out there, right?
Robert Salas says he thinks Breece Hall has an ACL tear. Adam, not good, man.
Mike, I'll just tell you this, man. I had a contender. It's a lineup league. Going into the season, you would have said this is probably the best team in the league.
Yeah.
Breece Hall just went down. My running back carousel is looking grim. I needed him as it was. It's 2-5. Maybe 3-4 if something lucky happens here tonight, but it happens, man. Right? Like we got to talk about it, man. Sometimes you can't plan for shit like this, and I think the reality, man, is this is where liquidity is such a big deal, and not moving your first in sometimes early is truly something that's probably overlooked by a lot of people, man.
I think the one good thing is for most of us, right, with Breece Hall, he was a nice surprise because I don't think a nice surprise in the aspect of like if I had him on a contender, I wasn't counting on him to be the guy out of the gate. Like I kind of figured it'd be a later season push, kind of like the JT thing. But it still sucks, man. It's still absolutely brutal to lose a young stud like that. And I don't think he's going to be the only one, man. From all reports, Jeff Mueller's a pretty smart guy. The way DK landed on his knee, well, we haven't got anything official on Twitter, no reports yet, but
it looks like both, man. Honestly,
he might be gone too.
Yeah.
And those are two young superstars in the league, and to lose them both in the same week, I thought it was bad watching the games, and Amon-Ra made that first catch, and then got ruled out with a concussion right away, and I was like, oh, man, this is horrible. You want the stars out there, you want them scoring fantasy points, and like can't get much worse. My bad, y'all. I did it.
I put Breece on the thumbnail. I put it in, because like he just ran the touchdown. I'm like, all right, I got to put him on there, and possibly out for the year, sounding like out for the year. So
if we just got to do a fast rank right now with what we know, right? He's got to drop down his ranks. Okay. Where we going at for Dynasty running backs, right? JT back at the top.
I think it has to be by default.
All right, who's going 2?
You know what, Mike?
Are we going to have this discussion?
Yes,
we going to jinx
you know what?
another
Hold
guy?
on. You know what? I'm not going to answer the question this way. All right, let me tell you. I'm going to give it to you. I just got to find. I got so many of them now.
I'm patiently waiting, man. The anticipation.
The
In the meantime, while you find
there you go.
Check this shirt out. All right, so
Top Gunneth.
Shout out to T-Rock, right? We had a preseason bet about how many games Mitch Trubisky would start, right? He's the ultimate Kenny Pickett hater. And the bet was an F1 hat. And, of course, I won that because Mitch is god-awful and Kenny Pickett's actually good at football. But T-Rock DM me. He goes, do you want the hat or do you want the shirt? And the minute I laid eyes on the fucking shirt, I was like, you got me. Give me the fucking shirt, right? Give me the Gunna shirt.
Hey, real quick,
all right.
I'm going over to Keep Trade Cut to see what they have now with. And so here's my Keep Trade Cut question, ladies and gentlemen, everybody tapped in. Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, mid-23 second. Who are you keeping, trading, and cutting?
Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, mid-23 second.
Yes.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Well, let me just explain that the way the algorithm works says that the mid-23 second is way too close to these fucking quarterbacks.
That's disgusting, man. Aaron Rodgers, another bad game, obviously. So just off of this week, man, I actually feel safer about Kirk Cousins than I do Aaron Rodgers. I ain't going to lie. Like, there's a real possibility. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers plays football next year, to be honest. So,
yeah.
Kirk's still good at football. Not the greatest, but, him being there long term. I'd keep Kirk Cousins. I'd trade Aaron Rodgers, and that fucking mid-23 second. Come the fuck on, man.
Well, that's what I put, but I just wanted to make sure we were on the same page here. But the reason I'm going to Keep Trade Cut, Mike,
where they at
is
with Kenneth
not.
Walker?
And I'll tell you right now, this website's amazing because it is going to shift so much, dog. Like it's what's one of my
Mhm.
favorite things to do is just keep pulse on this fucking thing. At the running back position, let's just remove the other shit. So we had going into today, Breece was RB1 at 8 overall. JT was 9 overall, RB2. Saquon 11 overall. Holy hell and seismic rise rankings. 23 early first at 18. So that's basically Bijan, right? DeAndre Swift, Christian McCaffrey, Kenneth Walker, RB6. Mike, I'm going to be honest, man. Just based on the only one ahead of him that you just the two that you mentioned ahead of him, or that I read ahead of him, Barkley and McCaffrey. If you wanted to say on the contending side, that's fine. But we just watched this guy had a 74-yard run again, a touchdown beforehand. Like, I think in Dynasty for me, because he still looks like he's going to smash, and they're giving him over 20 plus touches. I'm going Kenneth Walker RB2, man.
Okay.
Where are you at?
RB3 on the week. Pretty fucking good from Kenneth Walker. 168 yards, 2 touchdowns, no catches, no targets. That is a little bit fucking concerning, just a little bit. But
No question.
I'm gonna go JT, and then for 2, I'm gonna go Swift still.
Okay, so you got Swift at RB2 still?
Yeah, give me Swift.
Mm-hmm.
For RB3, 3, 4, and 5. This is a conversation where you want to put CMC, Breece, or Kenneth Walker for me, and I'm good with any of them.
I think
I'm still gonna go Swifty though. That's the big news of the day for me.
I think. Let me say this: the tier is now JT on his own again, and I think that the tier is the second tier for me is going to be
Bijan comes into the league next
well,
year.
right. I'm sorry. I'm talking for just this year. It is going to be in the second tier, like DeAndre Swift, Kenneth Walker. That's kind of the same tier for me. So I'm not even going to say it's like Swift or Kenneth Walker for sure. I'm just going to say they're the same tier. So that team, man, this team, like, let's just talk about this team real quick because Gino played well enough, and they put it to the Chargers in LA. This is a 4-3 football team that everybody thought had no shot to even win 5 games. So
they're gonna have to do it without the threat of DK, though. I think
that's gonna change a lot. I think, man.
What's it gonna look like when Tyler Lockett's now the focus? Because the rest of the guys are just kind of guys, right? Noah Fant hasn't done fuck all year. You got Marquise Goodwin, Will Dissly, Colby Parkinson, D. Eskridge. It's just kind of a bunch of hodgepodge. But Kenneth Walker, he's going to get a shit ton of work, man. On the other side, though, I'm more disappointed in the Chargers, right? You got to see garbage time Chargers at their finest because they weren't in this game for a while. Another injury to speak of, I mean, not one of our guys that we were in on, but Mike Williams, that injury did not look good for Mike Williams. So,
not at all, man. Not at all.
You know, whether it's just a high ankle or there's actually a fracture or something going on, that ankle injury looked gruesome. So I don't think they're going to have a lot of Mike Williams.
7 goat rings. I promise I'll get to this, but I did want to get to Dynasty Alex, who says essentially, and maybe he's not wrong, that I am just the jinx. I'm not going to fight you. It's possible. That's the case.
Akers,
Swift, Breece,
Swift.
Steven, so it's not confirmed by testing. They'll have to wait till tomorrow at least.
Need an MRI. But.
Yeah, you need an MRI, but it sounds like they're expecting that. And a lot of times when they expect that, it ends up being the case.
Generally, I've watched a shit ton of football over my time and been around football for a while. I'm no expert in this matter, but it's never a good thing when a guy leaves with a knee injury and almost immediately they rule him out for the rest of the game, right? So there's some stability tests and stuff that you can do on the sidelines the doctors can do. They grab your knee and they move it in different ways and see where the pain is, see how loose it is, that kind of thing. Yep. And they can generally make a pretty accurate determination just based off of that. Now, some of the ACL tears or ligament tears, the stability test works out just fine. Jeff Mueller has talked about this before, so go check out his stuff on Twitter. Go give him a follow. Really, really good at it. He does a lot of stuff just by judging on the way a player was injured from the video. That can give you a lot of information as well. But not confirmed. But at this point, it's going to take a fucking miracle to not be an ACL. So let's just say that. Yeah, man. What do you think? Herbert, Eckler. I mean, they got Keenan Allen back. He didn't do much. Now they're probably going to be without Mike Williams. this is getting scary for this Chargers team, man.
Yeah. Where are you at with is Eckler like the main piece that you're wanting in this offense now? Is there anybody else you're really like excited for? Obviously Herbert, but
Outside of Herbert, no. They do have a bye next week with Keenan being back. As long as his hamstring holds up, I mean, he's probably going to get funneled a shit ton of targets. So if that's somebody you kind of wanted to buy low on, I wouldn't hate that. Obviously, I'm not sending a first for him, though. I think that's out of the realm of possibilities. Like, I'm good.
For
I'm
Eck?
good. No, for Keenan Allen.
Oh, no. Yeah. I was going to say, I'm still doing it for
sure.
Eckler. Yeah.
Eckler for sure. Yeah, fuck yeah. I'd send a first for Eckler. On a contender.
Let's address some of these questions here real quick, Mike. So he had Breece Hall and Javonte. He's going to be 7-0 now.
Yep.
What do you do with Breece? He already sold Javonte for Diggs. That's a great pivot to get Diggs for Javonte, man, on a contender.
I think because Breece is a rookie.
I think yes, I'm with you. Go ahead.
I think because he's a rookie, in my opinion, people will be willing to give you more than what they gave you for Javonte, right? So if you're already getting a Diggs back in return on a contender, shit, man, I don't know how much higher you can aim with a Breece, but I'd be willing to do it on that return, right? Because we're looking at a late October ACL. We're probably going to look at part of 23 being lost to injury and recovery, possible PUP list, that kind of stuff coming back. Mm-hmm. I still like his long-term outlook, and similar to Javonte, right? If you buy at a reasonably low cost, you'll have a sell window where you can sell for higher.
Right.
But just on a contender from a production standpoint, man, if somebody wants to give me that right now and I can go win this championship, if I'm already sitting at 7-0, I'm shopping him for sure. There's no doubt about that. Like, he's out there. Here we go.
I don't know if you can do it. I will say Breece was once, literally, like after that 62-yard run, he was pushing to be the most unattainable running back by far. Like just the unicorn, right? The guy that's smashing points per game and is the youngest. I'll tell you what I would try to pivot to is also on the thumbnail. I would try this, and I think with Breece, you want to do it sooner than later because you're riding that wave right now, right? So if you can do this in the next 24 hours, I think you might be able to pivot to this, man.
That guy
Travis Etienne, right? I think you might be able to make that pivot. It's going to feel gross. It's not the sexiest move, but he's still young enough. He's starting to make James Robinson completely phased out of this backfield.
Well, I mean, J-Rob didn't play today, so
I know, but like last time,
he did. Oh shit, he did play. He didn't get a fucking carry.
That's what I'm saying.
I thought he was inactive. I didn't see him.
Well, he didn't
game.
play. That's the point. I thought you were making my point. He didn't play. You're right.
He didn't play. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I thought he was hurt. My bad.
I would try to make a pivot to Travis Etienne like quickly. Now, also your league dynamics come into play. Like if it's a Travis Etienne's contender, that you might not be able to do it. But I'm just spitballing here of things I would try. I think that's probably the line I would be willing to go to in that range at running back. And if you have to pivot to receiver, the problem is you got to make sure you at least have some running backs here, Wyatt. So if you want to give us league dynamics or some of your league, what you have on your roster, let us know that too.
Here's a tear down king move that's going to be gross as shit, but on a contender, I'm looking at doing it. Let's talk about my guy, Josh Jacobs, man. Come on. RB2
plus
on the
a
week.
First?
Josh Jacobs plus a first or a first level wide receiver.
Holy fuck, I'd be in a heartbeat.
Right? It seems gross. And the one thing I think that might lend you to getting it done is people still fucking hate Josh Jacobs. It doesn't matter what he does.
Everybody hates Josh Jacobs.
Everybody hates Josh Jacobs. 36.5 fantasy points at him. Holy shit.
Yeah, man.
He looks really good. Like he is playing for that second contract. And he's still on the younger side too. Right? He was a young rookie coming in, so even though this is his fourth year, I mean, Josh Jacobs looks good. I think we talked about it before where I think he's kind of at that stage where we're trying to get off of running backs a little bit, but only going to be 25 next year, probably on a new team. Maybe he goes back to the Raiders if he gets a contract from them, but I don't think it's going to be fantastic. But either way, I still think he has plenty of juice left in the tank for another year or two. So he looks good. He's just flat out fucking good at football. He can do it all. He catches, he runs hard. He's just not fast and he's not sexy. And people worried about the injuries in the past and the underperformance, and ho-hum, he's just a back-end RB1, that kind of shit. So even after this week, I know it's kind of a shitty week to try to go by, but, if you hop on it early for a contender, maybe Breece Hall for Josh Jacobs in a first.
Yeah,
that's a move I'd be looking to do.
I'm totally with that. 7 goat rings. Are we buying? Are we holding Breece or selling or buying? Yes. So on a portfolio perspective, there are going to be teams where I'm holding Breece. There are going to be teams where I'm selling Breece. There are going to be teams where I'm buying Breece. So I would say this. The selling part is probably the one which I'm doing the least of, and that's going to be on a rigid contender like Mike just was talking about earlier with Wyatt. You got to try to pivot to something gross, but you don't want to hold him if it's going to hold you back from winning this season.
For sure, man. Oh, we have so much shit to talk about here. Where's the next game that you wanted to look at, right? Let's go to DJ Moore.
I was just going to go there, so I'm glad you did.
Let's
do it. DJ Moore, man. But how? So a couple things here. DJ Moore has his best game of the season.
Yes.
It sounds like they're trying to trade him. I'm imagining they're going to get a deal done before the deadline. He's going to move to a team that's not as bad.
I don't know.
Carolina.
They came out with that stupid shit where he's a foundational piece. So I don't.
I think that's just bullshit to try to get the price up. But maybe you're right. Regardless, he looked better today. I think DJ Moore, the talent, is still everything we've thought. It's just the situation's been really gross, man. It was good to see him do that. And I'll tell you the crazy part for me is that 21-3.
Yeah,
they beat Tampa Bay. What the?
Yeah.
Like, honestly, Mike, what is going on in Tampa Bay?
To be a little bit fair to them, like they lost Winfield in the game. I think they were without like 2 or 3 corners on defense. But there's no excuse for the offensive part.
That's what I was going to say. 3 points. 3 points.
There wasn't any. Fucking Mike Evans had that touchdown where he just dropped it, right? Wide open. Would have been like a 60, 70-yard bomb.
Dude, what was that about, man?
I don't know, man. Just a brain fart, I guess.
Are these guys like are they not on the same page? Is it a chemistry thing? Like, it seems like everybody's not happy there right now.
Listen, I mean, Tom Brady's the GOAT. He's been the GOAT. He'll probably go down as the all-time GOAT forever, right? It's going to take a lot to unseat him. But you're talking about, man, he's been married for a long time. And, as a man who's gone through a divorce before, sometimes that fucks with your head pretty good, right? You got kids involved, quite a few kids for him, shit ton of money. Maybe he's just not all there, right? His focus isn't what it used to be. And obviously we've always talked about age with him. How long can he defy father time?
Yeah.
It's not even that he's playing bad, right? He's actually playing pretty well. They just don't seem in sync, right? The offense just can never get it's kind of like Green Bay's offense. It just feels like there's something fucking missing. And maybe it's the Chris Godwin thing, right? Maybe it's the Godwin not being at full speed yet.
Well, it seems like that's hurting them for sure. And also, I think, a big thing, they lost Jensen in the offseason. That offensive line doesn't look good, man.
Especially up the middle, right? The two guards in the center.
Exactly. And that's the thing I think that we've overlooked with Brady is because he takes these cheap deals, they've basically been able to always make sure the line's right. And what's the first thing they did when he got there? They drafted Wirfs, right?
Yep.
That offensive line has to be right because he is not mobile and he gets it out quick. But if you get to him and you get pressure on him and guys aren't open, you're starting to see it's just not anywhere near that same level of potency on offense, man.
To give Carolina some credit, though, that, from what I saw of that game, that fucking defense was playing hard, right, and energized, right? It seemed like every time they made a stop, they were playing hard. But I don't know, man. Sitting at 3-4, we've been down this road with Brady teams in the past, right, where we write them off. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go on a hell of a run in the year either. But who the fuck knows? It just doesn't look very good right now. Lenny's not doing shit. White's not doing shit. Yeah,
I was just gonna say Lenny didn't do shit. Cody asked, "Is Herbert still a top 4 QB anymore?"
No question, still is.
I would say in Dynasty, yes. I mean, I don't know that that's going to be the way in redraft. Like, I don't know that he's going to finish top 4 in redraft.
Yeah.
But in Dynasty, he's absolutely still top 4 for me.
Yeah, no question about that for me.
Better days ahead, I think, for Lenny. Let me do this, man, because our team just finds a way to lose these games. But like Nick Chubb, is really good. Njoku getting hurt sucked. Hopefully it's not serious. Mari Cooper still. Go ahead.
According to Jeff, it's not serious. So
okay, that's great. That's great. What about the flip side though? Because listen, man, this is the worst I think I've seen that whole offense look. Mark Andrews didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bateman didn't do much. Lamar pretty slowed down. Like, where are you at with this Ravens team?
They were running the ball, and they're running the ball in a gross way, right? You got Gus Edwards coming back, first week back, 66 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ugh, okay. I mean, the Gus Edwards stands are elated, but come on, man. Justice Hill did some things. Lamar, of course, run on the ground, didn't do a shit ton through the air, and it's kind of like it's like a more colorful version of the Jets offense.
Right.
And that doesn't make anybody fantasy money. It doesn't make anybody happy.
Not at all. Yeah, granted, Shorts is right, man. Today is awful. There was a lot of bad things from today, man. And this is what's crazy. We talked about how it's
going to be one of the lowest scoring fantasy weeks for most people, right? Just look around your leagues and look at the totals of some of the teams heading into Sunday and Monday night. Not great.
Mike, I'm going to be honest. It's starting to feel in fantasy this year. One, it's just odd, right? There's a lot of odd things happening, but we're starting to get trends. The one thing I'll say this season more than ever, it's starting to feel like the real NFL and fantasy correlate with like which team can dodge attrition, the most. Because, man, there's so many big-time injuries right now. It's insane.
Well, if you look at it just from the quarterback scoring, right? Your top scoring quarterbacks, of course, Joe Burrow went nuclear.
Hey, can we talk switching games? Go ahead. Let's keep going. I want to say this quarterback here put up a good game in fantasy, and that team is 6-1.
That's number 2 on the list, man. Danny Dimes, QB2 on the week, right? 6-1.
What the fuck is going on in 22, Giants. Man?
The 6-1. We talked about it a little bit this morning on our Patreon show.
Let me give Mike some credit, man. He dropped the knowledge, dropped the hammer knowledge.
Just the fact that their schedule's lining up, like there's a realistic possibility the Giants are going to be 9-1 at some point this year, right? And that I don't know if they'll actually make it, but Danny Dimes is playing well enough to keep his job for next year. That's how it is, and the offense runs through Saquon. Think about what Daniel Jones is doing and what he's doing it with. He has Saquon, and that's about it.
Right.
Darius Slayton, Wandale, Chris Myrick. I mean, shit, we started liking Daniel Bellinger, and then he had that Any Given Sunday type eye injury. Remember that scene in there where the guy just lost an eye on the field? Now, he didn't lose his eye, but, I had some flashbacks about that when I saw the blood and the eyes all fucked up. It was pretty gross, man. I hope he's doing all right, but that's about it, man. He had Daniel Bellinger for a little bit, and he's got Saquon, and everybody else is just kind of meh. I couldn't imagine what Danny Dimes would be doing if he had some real receivers, right? He's playing well. Dable's got him locked in. And the fact that he's doing it on the ground too, right? This big, awkward, lanky-looking white quarterback running for 107 yards.
6'5", tall drink of water, running all over the place. Yes, mid-pack to rebuild or hold Breece, right? Yeah, if you're not a strong contender – what are you selling Breece for? That'd be the dumbest thing you could do. It's also, until we have confirmation, if it's just a singular ACL tear, like there's no other ligaments, I'm not worried about Breece long term. If it's anything different than that, then we're talking something different.
So, I mean, hey, 6-1 Giants. On the other side, Trevor Lawrence.
I was just going to get to that. Yeah,
a little bit of a bounce back, right?
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of a bounce back. Made Christian Kirk relevant again. It's good to see for us Christian Kirk guys.
Yep.
We touched on Travis Etienne, but they still took the loss. But it kind of is what it is. Like they need another receiving weapon, right?
Yep.
Zay Jones has some moments. Marvin Jones is kind of whatever, and Evan Ingram, we know what Evan Ingram is and is not.
I mean, Ingram had a nice little day today. He's a solid tight end, I would say, in best ball. In lineup, you can't feel great even if he's your tight end there. Yeah. Kirk looked good today, man. And I think Lawrence is looking a little better. I'll say this, though. This is the guy right here. Mike, if he's putting James Robinson to the bench like this today, he's finally going to be what everybody was hoping that they drafted in the 4th round this offseason. So
we're starting
I'll give
to see
some credit, man.
That analytics isn't all that bad, right? Earlier in the season, we were talking about J-Rob, and I can't believe y'all hyped up Travis Etienne for this. But if you dove into some of the analytical data, we talked about it a few weeks ago about explosive run rate and his breakaways. Like, you kind of felt like some of this shit was going to start coming, and here we are, right? Early in the season, just wasn't quite getting it done. Had an opportunity for some better fantasy weeks, and I think back to, was it week 1? He dropped that easy walk-in touchdown pass.
Yeah, man.
And you're like, shit,
right?
Imagine if he would have caught that. But we're starting to see it. Like, all right, it's so crazy because he didn't play at all last year, broke his foot. We got on the whole, can't believe y'all had Javonte or behind Etienne. Najee Harris did his thing. And now we just fast forward a year and a half, and Javonte, unfortunately, is injured. Najee's looking like shit, and Travis Etienne is the only one out of that class that we're any bit excited about. So,
yeah,
funny how shit changes so fast in Dynasty, right? The opinions can change, and the opinions on Travis Etienne definitely have shifted from week 1.
Yeah, I'm with you with Etienne. Mr. B says the Packers need to go get DJ Moore. Man, I'm in. That would be awesome. I would love that fucking trade if they were to do that. Here's a good thing that we got to see. It says a sprained ankle for David Njoku. Not serious, right? That's big.
Low ankle too, not a high ankle, so we'll be all right.
Yeah, that I love to see for my guy David Njoku. The thing is, man, he's looking good. He's looking really good in his Jacoby Brissett, and this offense is very capped with Jacoby Brissett.
Yes, I'm starting to get excited, man. I'm back in. I'm back in on Njoku. I've been out for a while. I've been resisting. I'm just ready to be free. Can't wait till Deshaun comes back. Deshaun and Njoku and Amari Cooper. Let's fucking roll. And Nick Chubb, you just keep pounding it up the middle. Kareem Hunt's your whatever. I mean, I'm not a big Kareem Hunt guy.
Let's discuss something real quick. So Keep Trade Cut has Mark Andrews tight end 1, Kyle Pitts 2, Kelsey 3, Hawk 4, Goddard 5, Kittle 6, Freiermuth 7, Waller 8, and Njoku 9. Do you feel that's appropriate? And if not, where does Njoku go from there up?
I could definitely put him ahead of Freiermuth for sure. Freiermuth has those concussion concerns, unfortunately, and we haven't seen a whole lot of big stuff out of Freiermuth yet.
Right.
Waller is the one where you and I will disagree. Right. I'm still going to believe in Darren Waller, but it's definitely a conversation now.
That's okay. I'm just asking the question. It's not a
I definitely could put him ahead of Freiermuth, though, for sure.
Okay, so you think?
I think he's in the conversation with Waller, though.
Everybody ahead of him. You think you'd rather have those guys 1 for 1?
Yeah, 1 for 1. Yes.
Okay, I think I definitely have him ahead of Freiermuth. I think personally, because of the age and the quarterback, I'm gonna not today, but the quarterback to come. I'm gonna take Njoku over Waller, and that would be the tiebreaker. I think it's close. Okay. Yeah, now I will say this, right after that, like Kittle, as you just saw today, like Kittle when healthy is very good, man.
It's still good at football.
It's gonna be with him. Let me go ahead and go to Kittle here. With Kittle, man, it's all about the health. Like if he's out there, is it not just about the health, Mike? Like talk to me.
Yes.
So with Kittle, right now, here's what I'll say. These guys ahead of him: Kittle, Goddard, Hawk. So this range here, I think 1 for 1, the player in a just prospect. I'd rather have all those guys than Darren or David Njoku. The thing with David Njoku is this though. He doesn't have target competition like any of those guys do.
That's true. All he has is Amari Cooper, and that's it.
And I'll say this. I'm not going to say to everybody here that I want David Njoku over those guys 1 for 1, but here's what I'm telling you I would be thinking about strongly right now. Pivoting down on a tier down from T.J. Hawkinson, Dallas Goedert, George Kittle, Pat Freiermuth, Darren Waller to David Njoku plus. Because I honestly think there's a real chance come playoffs, David Njoku outscores all those guys.
That's fair. That's a good argument, man. And I definitely, at that range of tight end, that's a perfect place to make your bet, right?
Right.
If you
and
everybody
can
go from any of those dudes to Njoku and get any kind of plus.
And that's the point, right? Because Pitts, I'm not moving Pitts right now.
No,
it's just not necessary. Kelsey on a contender, what the fuck would you be doing that for? And Andrews had a couple bad games, but I'm not scared on Andrews. So that's kind of where I'm at there. Getting into this game here, Mike, Kittle. What are we doing with this offense, man? Kittle looked great. I mean, Ayuk had a nice game, not great. CMC's here, Debo. Like, can Jimmy G support 4 guys?
No, they're all going to have weeks. I think it hurts Ayuk more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Debo's still going to get his work, just albeit not to the level that we want. Kittle, he has a role. He has a role whether as long as he's healthy, right? And as long as the offensive line's healthy, because he is such a phenomenal blocker when that offensive line is struggling. He's staying in, and then we're like, why the fuck isn't he out running routes? Well, it's because he's really good at blocking. So, and it's not good for fantasy, but it's good for NFL wins. So, CMC, I don't know if he's going to be as involved as he was in Carolina. So this is one of my big concerns, right? The scheme is better. The offense is better. Shanahan is going to get him in spots where he's going to have some monster games. He's just not the entire offense like he was in Carolina. So I think we have to temper expectations just a little bit, right? He's going to be a little bit more boom or bust. Jimmy is good for Jimmy, though.
Yeah, I was going to say Jimmy, honestly, in best ball is way more appealing to me now. I'll say this too. I think that to that point on CMC, volume probably comes down as a whole, but I think scoring opportunities go up, and I think efficiency goes way up. It'll be interesting to see. I think that they traded quite a bit for him. I think that Shanahan really wants to get him involved. And today, you got to remember, this is a guy coming off of he doesn't even know anything in the scheme yet. This is 2 days in, so I wouldn't be worried about.
I think
CMC.
it's going to take a couple weeks, right? This is a move that they're making for later on in the season for sure.
Yep. So let me say this, man. Let's talk about quickly, Cincy. Go ahead. If you had something to say, go ahead.
Yeah, same game though. Just quickly to toot my own horn, another good game for Juju Smith-Schuster.
Don't let me overlook this. Yeah, don't let me overlook this.
I was told last week after I bragged about Juju that if the fucking Ravens could tackle, he wasn't going to have a great game. And I guess, does that apply this week too? If the 49ers could tackle, maybe Juju makes people miss. Right? Maybe he does that. Maybe he's good at yards after catch.
Man, not a great start to the season for the kid, and then these last 2 weeks, a lot of inspiring play from Juju. I still think it's going to be up and down. In best ball, I think it'd be much more ideal than it would be in lineup, but I still think, like to your point, Juju in this offense, man, is starting to feel more comfortable, I think. And listen, if you have Juju shares, I think you got to feel really good the last 2 weeks.
I'm not touting him as some wide receiver 1. But a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 type, for sure.
And I'm not worried about this guy at all. He's just fucking good. I forget who was announcing the game, but they said it. They think he's going to be the best tight end in NFL history when it's all said and done. And at the rate he's going, the way he's playing, I can't really argue that. I don't know what you have to say on it, Mike.
How about the Bengals, man?
Let's talk about it, man. Because listen, holy hell, Mike, I'm watching all these games, and I'm seeing 10 minutes to go, 10 minutes left in the third quarter. Joe Burrow was almost at 400 passing yards. We had games from everybody, man, on this offense.
Boyd, Higgins, Chase, Joe Mixon.
I mean,
all of them.
Boyd was the one today that, like, I think was the most surprising, because you would think, here's why I'll say this, because you would think when Boyd has a great game like this, that means that one of Higgins or Chase doesn't. That's typically how that works. And they all had pretty damn good games. Now, Higgins was a good game, right? It's that you'll take 90 yards, but it wasn't like phenomenal. But Boyd went off. Chase went off. I mean.
Yeah. How about even I mean, the tight end landscape's disgusting, but Hayden Hurst is the tight end 1 on the week. Even he ate. Even Hayden Hurst ate. I mean, in your opinion, is this the most explosive offense in the entire league?
I would say this. I would say no. I will say that because it's not consistent enough to be. Okay. But to your point, when they hit like this, I would say on a week-to-week basis, no. But when they fire, this is proof that they fire maybe as hot as anybody. So, like, I guess that's the way I would answer it.
I dunked on Joe Burrow, and I was kind of out on him. But again, like this is both sides of the coin, right? I had my concerns about Joe Burrow earlier in the season. It was paying off, but I also recognized too that offensive line was mostly new guys, right? And they needed to get time to get used to each other. And I think we're seeing in the last few weeks that they're getting comfortable together. Now, I saw Lyle Collins went out, so we'll kind of have to monitor that situation for the offensive line standpoint. But as that offensive line gels and gets better, man, I think these big game performances are going to be more consistent. And I got to apologize for Joe Burrow. Fuck, man. Like these having Joe Burrow or having a piece of this offense, one of the main pieces, can literally win you a fantasy week, right? And if you have two of them or you have a stack of some sort, holy shit. Holy shit, are you feeling good, man? Even if your stack only ended up being Joe Burrow and Tyler Boyd, you're doing backflips this week.
Yeah, Tyler Boyd's the one that if you had in best ball feels the best, though, because the cost is so much different than Higgins and then his Chase. Like, this is why you have the stack with Boyd, because he's kind of forgotten about. And in lineup, I think it's so much different than in best ball because it's hard to press the button on Boyd. But, yeah, Joe Burrow, man, give credit where credit's due, man. Burrow looked very good. Let me say this, man. Mixon, I don't think is what we were expecting this year, unfortunately. But he's still in a good enough offense, and he's still seemingly getting enough touches to where it's good, not great. You know what I mean?
At the running back position, though, with how gross it's been, and now we're getting injuries, you could do a lot worse than Joe Mixon, right? I always get these questions about moving Mixon, man, on a contender. It's so hard because I don't think anybody's going to give me what Joe Mixon's actually worth to me on a contender. You know what I mean?
Well, here you go. We got a question in here. Mixon in the late first for Higgins?
No. If I'm in a rebuilder, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to look at the long-term play,
right,
and pivot to more wide receivers. That makes sense to me. On a contender, though, no. Like,
I'm not doing this on a contender either.
Joe Mixon has actually given me an advantage over most of my leagues because of what they have to start at the running back position.
Well, especially with Breece going down, like you're getting to the point where the running backs that are every week, boom, 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 press the button every time. He's kind of in a very small group at this point that you feel good about. And the thing is, he's not smashing, but like you said, he's still one of the ones at the running back position you want. Is there anyone else? Oh, you know what, man? Dak did not look all that great today. Let's talk about the Cowboys real quick. And I don't know if you had anyone else we want to talk about before we get out of here too.
I wasn't too concerned about Dak first game back, adjusting to that broken bone in his hand, you know, first being back. They figured out that they could just establish a motherfucking run and just pounded Zeke and Tony Pollard right down their throats. So, I mean, he's definitely going to have better weeks ahead. I'm not too worried about Dak Prescott, right? It didn't look great at times, but again, I usually give people a week or two pass right, when they're coming off a pretty severe injury. And it was the Lions. It wasn't like the Lions were putting up much of a fight. They were beating the shit out of Jared Goff.
Yeah, I was going to say, man, Dak was also afforded an opportunity where he didn't have to come out and score a bunch. Speaking of which, Zeke had a really nice game. I'm not saying I'm paying up for Zeke or anything in Dynasty, but I think like in best ball, you know, it's just he's one of these guys that I think he's just worth more than you'll ever get back. So I think you just hold on
if somebody out there is on a rebuild or has him in my leagues, though, I'm sniffing around and seeing what they want for him.
Yes,
I'm definitely not giving him a first, but you know, maybe a second, maybe another throw in, something like that. It's probably going to cost more than a second, but I don't think it's at 2 seconds, right? Because I'm seeing Josh Jacobs go for 2 seconds, and if I got a choice, man, I'm going Josh Jacobs first.
Yeah,
for sure.
And then obviously CD's. I think as Dak continues to get more acclimated, feels better with the hand. This guy's a stud, man. I don't think we have to say a whole lot on CD. So
no, I still like CD. And last one I'll get before I get out of here, man. At least Ron Rivera smartened up a little bit.
Okay, because here, let me stop you, Mike, because I'm going to get to you. Shane Joe says, so I have to fill the Hall gap. How gross is it to try and grab your boy, Michael, your fucking boy, Antonio Gibson? And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm grabbing him. It's not that gross. I think that he's starting to show, one, if B-Rob's going to be there and you're going to utilize him on some of these grinder roles, but Rivera's smart and is going to give him more passing work, I'm almost happier with that. Let that be the case.
He almost relegated J.D. McKissic to nothing.
That's the best part, is if you get McKissic out of here and you let B-Rob be the grinder, I almost like Gibson's situation way more.
Gibson out-targeted him 4-2. JD didn't catch a single pass, and JD only got 1 carry. Gibson got 10. So if you're going to give B-Rob these slow, pounded in the middle, take some of the wear and tear off of Antonio Gibson, I'm all for it. And I will definitely have a shit ton of Antonio Gibson. I'm feeling good about it after this. Last week, no. For whatever fucking reason, Rivera was like, we're just going to run B-Rob even though he's terrible all the time. And then we're going to bring in McKissic, and we're not going to do shit with Antonio Gibson. Even though every time we give Antonio Gibson the ball, he looks really good, breaks off a big play. And then this week, I'm glad that they adjusted. So if this is the role going forward, I don't give a shit how many carries Brian Robinson's getting, because Antonio Gibson is being highly efficient with his touches. And if he's going to get a lot of this passing game work and actually run real fucking routes, I'm all in on Gibson.
Follow up, what should we be offering for him as a second too high? I would say this: if you're a contending team and you lost Hall and you have a mid to late second, by my goodness, it's gone. If you're talking about a locked in 201, 202, like that's probably closer to what market, like maybe even above what market is. But I'm sending any second personally for Gibson.
Like, we've definitely taken a hit with our Gibson.
No question.
But if you just look at it, man, he's basically like he's got a Tony Pollard like role right now, where B-Rob's kind of being the Zeke and Gibson's being more the Tony Pollard. And I think almost everybody out there would pay a second for Tony Pollard. It's just because the name Antonio Gibson people kind of hate.
Yeah, no question, man. So here you go. Would you trade Pierce for Hall, even if you have to put a plus on top of Pierce?
Yeah, man, it depends on what the plus is. I said this last week, and I still continue to do it. I am so fucking impressed with Dameon Pierce. After the apology tour, this kid runs so hard, and I don't want to jump back into it because of the whole J-Rob, Elijah Mitchell, this kind of thing. And, I fall into the trap of, Dameon Pierce is going to be different. Bro, I think he's different. I think he's different. I would definitely do it straight up 1 for 1. But I don't know how much of a plus I'm willing to put on top.
Well, I would say this: if you're thinking about doing this, I'm assuming you're not contending. And if I'm not contending, I'd be willing to throw a plus for Breece, man. I think he's very different. If we're talking different,
that's right.
Now, to Mike's point, it depends on what the fucking plus is. Like, if we're talking a first level player, you can get the fuck out of here, right? Like,
I'm good, man.
If we're talking more of a second round player type piece or an older aging asset, totally understand that. So I think this one is tough. It depends on what you're looking for. Shane Joe, we appreciate it. Appreciate you. Nothing but love for you too, man. Anybody got any quick questions? Otherwise, we are about to get out of here because we have Sunday night football coming up. Tua is back, and we got Kenny Pickett. This is feeling like the shit show quarterbacks game, right?
It is, man. This is the shit bowl, but in a good way.
Yeah, man.
It's a couple of our guys. Kenny Pickett, Tua. I did think it was very weird. Tua was walking around out on the field pregame warm-up with no cleats, socks on, nothing. You can see the grass stains on the bottom of his feet. It's like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, man.
You can't get some slides or something?
I think Tua, man, it's amazing he's back already. I think there was like no chance he was ever going to walk away from the game. He was literally born and raised to play football. Like, this is all he cares about. So
I want to see it.
I'm excited to see him back. Me too. Appreciate you guys tapping in as always, man. We appreciate it. We are going to be back as always next Sunday morning for the Patreon, Sunday at noon Eastern over at Destination Devi for the start sit. Tuesday, come catch us on the AMA. As always, tune into 4D. It's only on podcast on Fridays. Saturday, you can catch the trade show here on this channel. And then Sunday, we rinse and repeat.
Keep it going, baby. Keep it going. Appreciate you tapping in. We love you. Hit that like button, comment, and subscribe if you are not subscribed already. Peace.
Peace.